We're back again. Today I'm in the middle of cooking something. Cooking a little meal. We woke up late. We gotta get that 7 or 8 hours. Today I had less, but that's okay. It's the weekend. It's my day off, baby. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it tonight. But anyway, I wanted to tell you a story. Because the other day I had a horrible experience. What happened was, it was a roach sitting in the bedroom, okay? A little roach, we know what that is. A little, you know. It's sitting in the bedroom, and I'm with George, and I'm like, hey, let's light this bone up, you know, let's light this number up. And so I light it up, I take a few hits. I take like 3 or so, without really noticing. And my intention, or my thought, was that it was CBD, you know, CBD bud with no THC in it. Now that's a thing. So anyway, that's what I was thinking it was. And then I looked back, and I was like, wait, is that the roach from when Lila smoked? And she didn't want CBD, she wanted bud. Okay, so with that thought, I'm like, oh my god, I just smoked weed. And I'm like, I haven't had THC in a long time now, I would say. A few weeks, maybe going on a month at the very most, I'd say. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh fuck, you know, I'm all high and shit, and the CBD, it makes your eyes red just like weed does. So I'm really tripping, and George is all like, dude, I didn't even get high, like, that was the CBD, it didn't taste like weed. And I was like, hey, I didn't think it did either. But as soon as I thought about the fact that it could have been weed that was left over from when Lila was smoking, I'm freaking out, you know. So my mind and body go into a panic, and I'm totally losing it, you know. I'm just like, oh my god, my heart pounding out of my chest. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna die. I can't breathe properly. Just like my main 2 things are always like, you can't breathe and your heart is gonna like explode or some crazy shit. So that's where my head was. I'm like, it's real, you know, that's what's gonna happen to me. Hold on, let me turn on the light. So anyway, I'm like, that's what's gonna happen to me, you know. And so it becomes real. It gets worse and worse. And I know I'm feeding the panic or whatever, but I become hypersensitive, and that's an issue that I have a lot, where like sound is like ultra loud. There's other things like I become like extra aware of my own thoughts. So it almost seems like they aren't mine, or I don't know. I become very sensitive. So my mom was around, and George was with me. He was like trying to calm me down and shit, and I'm like, you know, the panic is already in the books. Like it's coming. There isn't much I can do. And so I'm like talking to my mom, and I'm like, hey, I'm having a heart attack. You know, that's what I think. Or, you know, she knows what's going on, so she's all like, all right, let's go to the sink and like put your hands under like cold water, which usually works for me. But I'm so like fucked up in my head that like I forgot about what these things are like. I forgot about the tactics I use to kind of sober myself up or like get out of my head. So I'm doing things as a distraction, but I can't get out of my head. So everyone's talking to me like, hey, settle down, it's all good, you know, you got nothing to worry about, you're safe, you can breathe, this'll pass. All those things usually work for me, but in my head I hear that, and I just keep going to the hyper awareness of what's going on with my body. And the high, like the sensation I had physically was horrible. It was like in between a headache and like feeling unlike myself. It felt like I was going like this with my shoulders, but I was just staying still. It felt like my whole body was on fire and like shaking from the inside, making everything else shake. When I would feel my chest, it really felt like my heart was gonna pop out of my chest. And meanwhile, I'm thinking of horrible things, like all these different ways that I could die. I'm thinking about like people cannibalizing me, which is, I know that's like fucked up, you know, I got issues, but like I think of like the weirdest shit, and it's horrible. It's horrible. Usually I've been better about pushing things like that out and being good with all that, but you know, I still don't know if it was weed or if it was CBD that I smoked, but that totally set me off. And anyway, I'm just having these horrible thoughts and giving it energy unintentionally. It feels like I'm having a horrible acid trip, you know, like the way I see things are super high in contrast and dreamlike almost. It was so crazy when I was coming down, which took like a good like 2 hours, probably more. I would like go in the bathroom, like, all right, I gotta get ready. I would like wash my face and look and be like, oh shit, that's me. Oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, you see yourself in a different light, and like there was something kind of like poetic and like cool about seeing myself that way. It was almost like a reality shock, like, damn, you're gonna be 20 this year and all this shit, you know? And anyway, like I had the light off washing my face, and I know I'm going back and forth with you like in order or not in order, but I'm just telling you my experience, and it's a little bit jumbled because it was so much for me. But I was in the bathroom washing my face, and I turned on the light. So when I go to turn on the light and look back, it was like I was transported to another room. Like, you grow so accustomed to the dark or the light, like, and going into a different setting or altering the mood of the room, even in the slightest way, totally like shocks you. Like I turned the light on and it was like, oh shit, like I just teleported into another room. Like, I don't know how I got this messed up, especially if it was only CBD. Like, what a panic attack. I can't put into words how traumatizing it was, but I mean, in the middle of it, the plan was to go over to the twins' house, and we had to pick up Ashley. So George, you know, it's getting to the point where he needs me to hurry up a little bit, and I was washing my face right around the time, like that time. You know, I was just explaining to you what happened there. Anyway, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to calm down. When I was washing my face, my thoughts came back to me, my rational thinking. And so I was kind of like, oh, hey, old friend, like, I missed you, you know? I've been out of my fucking mind for the past, like, 45 minutes. The other thing was I would be like, how long have I been like this? And George would say, like, some amount of time that felt totally outlandish in the way that I thought that this was going on way longer than it actually was. Like, 45 minutes would probably feel like days, but in my case it was it had only been 10 minutes, and I thought that it had been like 35, like 40 minutes, if that makes sense. I don't know. The time was just very like drawn out and kind of crazy. So there were other things like things that I've been avoiding kind of hitting me like a truck. I had a bit of an ego death sort of situation. Because in that panic, you totally forget about like vanity and like like how you're seen and stuff like that, or like what you even look like. Like I forgot about all of this. I forgot about all of this. It was just a big ball of panic. Like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Hey, I was trying to think of a paranoid like delusion, but I couldn't come up with one. Like, everyone's plotting against you. They think you're crazy. You're a burden right now. You're talking too much. Everything you fear, it's real. It's real. Be afraid, panic, nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. I could do a better one, but I know someone is sleeping right now. Okay. So anyway, I just got fucked. I got obliterated, and I don't even know if it was CBD or if it was weed. So now I'm like, oh shit, do I want to do that again? And I'm in a tough spot because I love smoking a little bit. For me, it's usually just a couple of hits, but I love smoking a little bit to get a little far out and feel kind of different. Like, I need that. It's so good. It's so good. And I don't do it every day, but I love being able to do it, So it was a real slap across the face to, like, smoke just a little bit and totally get my ass whooped. And I felt like embarrassed while everything was happening. Like the song, how could this happen to me, like that's what was going on. I was like, wow, they got me. What goes around comes around, I guess. I felt like I paid for a lot of bad things that I did yesterday, I guess. I don't know, I had a sort of reality shock about things that are going on in my life. Like, I thought about mortality and things that had been plaguing me for a while that I kept under the surface. So there were definitely good things about it once I started to come down. Another thing that was kind of crazy is George was like, hey, we need to drive to get Ashley, who doesn't live far. But for me, I'm like, oh, a car? Oh, a rolling death machine? Hey, I don't know about that, Jack. So I was I was all like, hey, I'll take an Uber, like, I need more time to sober up. And he was like, hey, no, come with, it'll be okay. The outside might make you feel better. And we go out and the sun is beaming down, and I'm like, like, I still feel really messed up, but here comes the distraction. Now, like I said, with the hypersensitivity before, like, if like cars going by was really loud and amplified and uncomfortable for me. Like a car drove by and I could hear a conversation as you would like sober, a car just driving by, you don't think anything of it. But for me, I was so fucked up that I was like, did they just like yell into the car? And George was all like, oh no, they just like drove by. Like, I hate that like distorted sense of reality that's mainly negative. That is horrible. But I did think about like how if everybody was high like this, we would have a lot less conflict. Oh my God, if everyone was just walking around in the street trying to figure themselves out, like, oh shit, love, that's what's important, you and me, we're the same, I don't know, like, I find myself when I get really fucked up just trying to mimic the regular things I do, like, oh, water, good, hydrate, take, drink it down, let it slide to the back. I go into manual mode, I sound like a caveman or something. And I also have this disassociation that makes me feel like everyone in my life is not connected to me. Like, I feel completely separate. And that's horrible, because like, your girlfriend will be like, hey, baby, it's okay, like doing the things that they would do when you're sober, and you're kind of like, is it okay? I don't know if I don't know how to describe that. You just feel out of place, and you appreciate them for like consoling you or whatever, but you're like, hey, I don't even know if this is real. I don't know if I'm gonna wake up any second in a hospital bed or in outer space. Like, I don't fucking know what the first thing to think right now. But I appreciate you or whatever. I don't know. It's one thing that's interesting is how you'll go through this long drawn out panic and then eventually be reminded of your life. You know, you're like, oh yeah, these are the things about me. This is what me and the gang do. This is how you interact. This is the effect you have on people. And thank God for distraction and listening to people talk. My favorite thing in the world, you know. A lot of people don't like it, like hearing someone talk for a while. Sometimes, hey, I don't like an ear beating either, but the right situation will really settle you down, I guess you could say. The other thing is asking people questions when you're messed up. You'll only be thinking about them. That's a really important thing. It's like if I can distract myself with whatever's going on with you, I'll forget about how fucked up I am, you know? That's just a beautiful thing to me. Anyway, we're driving and I'm still really messed up. I feel like kind of socially awkward, which I don't really ever get, especially with people that I consider to be family. Like, we're as tight as a hen's nest, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so it was weird to get socially awkward and feel like, am I the weird guy? Am I talking too much, you know? Do they hate me? Does that lady across the street want to kill me right now? You know, like, it's not that drastic, but I kind of like question everything, and I'm like, hey, maybe I should shut up, even though like communication is like saving me, you know. I don't think Ashley knew that I was going through it that bad, so when she got into the car, like, I think she knew a little bit, and I talked to her and George, and it kind of took me out of it, but I got the feeling that like there's no way they know how bad this really is, you know. And there's also like an earth-shattering awareness to everyday life and the beauty and sad things behind it, like every little thing you do and experience, if that makes sense, you know. Show me a happy couple, and I can see the cracks that they're always trying to repair. Or show me someone who's really depressed, and I can see a time in their life when they were flourishing, or whatever the case may be, you know. Like, the one thing I do like about like this outlandish experience is like being able to totally come out of myself in a positive way, like towards the end. At first it's horrible, but towards the end